Hello, listeners. Welcome to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast. I'm Justin Souza, and on today's episode, I sat down to talk with Hartford Athletic owner Bruce Mandell about the club's youth-centric partnership with Southampton, discussions with USL about procedures and operations during the pandemic, and fan culture within the immediate Hartford area. Listeners, if you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, leave us a 5-star review, and follow us on Twitter at UncSamSoccerPod. Now, let's get to today's episode.
Thanks for listening to Uncle Sam's Soccer Podcast, keeping you up to date with the latest in American soccer. And don't forget to subscribe.
Joining me for this interview today is Hartford Athletic owner Bruce Mandell. Bruce, how are you doing today?
Fantastic, thank you.
Me and Bruce just kind of finished riding off Tropical Storm Isaias. Lost power for a day and a half, but it seems like we're both doing pretty good now. Bruce, I'd be remiss not to start the conversation with this, but we're obviously in the middle of a pandemic, and from an ownership perspective, how crazy has it been to kind of manage the team and working through this whole pause and play?
I mean, it's been a challenge, but we're a new club, second year. There's been a ton of challenges along the way. This is just kind of another one for us. We've been fortunate that our staff has been so strong, and our players have been really fantastic and really leaders in terms of being creative with ways to stay fit and stay safe. So that part has been actually pretty good, I would say. And also COVID gave us a lot of opportunities to look at other parts of our club and try to do some hard work there. So, it's a terrible pandemic and it's impacting so many people in such a harsh way. But we're doing our best to make the most of it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. And you're talking about keeping the players safe and stuff. And the USL is actually doing a bit of home and away within regional groups and allowing a few fans into stadiums. So I'm just curious then, did the owners meet with the league to kind of discuss protocols for allowing fans into stadiums and how exactly to ensure they abided to social distancing and players abided to those rules as well?
Yeah, that was quite a process. We have 35 owners in the league, and we have some really strong and bright, owners. And it was a period of time where no one really knew what was going to happen, and still at this point, there's a lot of unknowns. So, as a group, we spent about 2-3 months putting together plans with different contingencies and different options, and had a series of votes and some compromising, I would say, amongst the owners. Some economically, it didn't make sense to play with all the variables, and depending on where your location was a big factor. Others wanted to play more games, and so we settled in on 16 games, and we settled in on a kind of non-bubble strategy, and just a tremendous amount of work from the league. The USL league office is very strong. They're well staffed. They were working 24/7, providing options for the owners, and really said to the owners, guys, you guys are putting your cash and your hard work on the line. It's going to be up to you guys to vote and come up with a program that you think will work. The second piece of that was the players. We have no league without our players. They're the most important part of our whole program. So we really had to have great conversations with our players, and they have a players association now. And that was very helpful because it was organized, and they could communicate with us, and they could add value along the way. And as we were developing our protocols, they really were fantastic in joining us. And when you come together, similar to the way that the women did in the NWSL, when you come together as a group, it's very powerful. And you all start walking down the line knowing that there's so many unknowns, and we're going to get hit with things that we haven't even thought about but when you're together, you have a real chance of doing the best you can. So it was quite a process, 2 to 3 months, I would say. A lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom calls, a lot of haggling in terms of what we ended up with. But so far, I think it's been pretty strong, definitely from our standpoint.
Yeah, the USL across all 3 levels of play, it seems like a really progressive league, and is just trying to work hard to maintain, being able to travel and just bringing fans in. And on another level of progression, they're also starting to push out their USL Academy programs and really emphasizing themselves as a production league and developmental league. And Hartford Athletic just so happens to have a new partnership within youth soccer with Southampton of the Premier League. And so, Bruce, I was just kind of curious, how exactly did Hartford land, this partnership with a prestigious Premier League club like Southampton?
Yeah, well, it's quite a little story, but we were 0-8 jumping out of the box last year, and I felt like I needed to quickly learn more. Went over to England, spent time with Crystal Palace and Arsenal, and got an introduction to Southampton, and visited. And Paul Buckle was there, who is today our director of strategy, and Coach Yadi was there training at the U23 level, who's now our coach. I just went in there to learn, spent some time there, really, really liked what I saw. And eventually I asked Paul, do you think we could do something like this in America, in the USL, in Hartford, Connecticut? And he was emphatic that we could, and do it within a budget. So we made relationships, really, the answer, Justin. We really made some great relationships there, and those relationships paid off. I will say one of the most interesting things in my first year was Southampton came to visit us. And Matt Hale was here, who was there, is really one of the key guys in the outfit. And they brought a couple other guys. And they watched some games, and they were just really impressed with the league and the level and the fans that we had. They came to Hartford games. And they just got excited and felt that there's something really special going on at the USL level. That was I would say, as a new owner, a little bit of a surprise to me. And I was learning along the way, and I was picking the brains on it, but they really saw something that could be advantageous to Southampton over the long term.
And that's interesting to see that Premier League team takes notice of a USL team and the fan base, and just how cool it is, like, to kind of go and watch these games and see and experience them. As far as Hartford as a USL market and just their soccer culture in general, have you seen that there is a soccer culture to keep entertaining for years to come and kind of build upon as the team moves forward?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It's a small state, but it's a big soccer state, and it's produced a lot of players, and our fans are amazing, and our supporter groups are very diverse from all over the state, which that surprised me too. Not just from the Hartford area, but from Danbury, from Lebanon, Connecticut, and other parts. So that's the breadth of our state's pretty great to be able to have people coming from all over. It's a strong soccer state, and I don't think that's a concern. I think that as we build out our youth program and as we start to develop players, we really want to be the top guy around, and I think we have a chance to do it if we're very strong on the pro level. Yeah,
and we saw last Sunday in Hartford's win, Alfredo Vasquez, who's I believe he holds the record for most goals in high school soccer history in Connecticut, scores his first professional goal, and obviously this partnership with Southampton is more focused on youth development and youth training. Southampton has this reputation for producing players like Gareth Bale and Adam Lallana and Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain. Do you think Alfonso Vasquez is maybe your first Gareth Bale, or potentially the kid that unlocks the door for all the potential Gareth Bales in Connecticut?
Well, I like the second part of it. Definitely unlocked for other players. And, That's a kid who did not play at the academy level, actually tried out and wasn't taken for whatever reasons. Played in high school, scored 155 goals, was not on our radar. Shows up at an open tryout. Coach Jaidi, who was on loan from Southampton, who was their U23 coach. I think he knows a little something about youth. Spotted him right there. There's 150 kids there. Spotted the kid, brought him in, took him to our training camp, put him up against the men. The kid hit every hurdle we could put in front of him, and boom, gets signed as a pro contract. Boom, continues to train with us, gets his debut. Next game, gets a goal. So, that's the amazing thing about the USL. And, I heard your interview with Orange County, and I think they're really the tops, and I can learn a lot from them, what they're doing out there. Amazing organization. And, but you can give opportunities, real opportunities. And building up this pathway to the pros is going to change American soccer. It's just going to change it and make it stronger. And Alfonso is a great example of that. I don't know if you guys saw that goal. Your audience should Google it. Alfredo Vasquez from Hartford Athletic. He smashed it. Upper tier hits the crossbar and goes in. It was incredible for a first goal.
Yeah, no, it's definitely one for an 18-year-old to remember. I mean, the way he hit that volley, and it's something about shots that go in off the bar are just a little bit extra nice to watch. But you mentioned Orange County, and I'm curious now. They have their partnership with Rangers, and they kind of had their documentary series on ESPN. Do you feel as though not only Hartford and Orange County, but USL clubs as a whole are starting to find these little partnerships in Europe and kind of sending their coaches to learn coaching methods in Europe, or maybe swapping players back and forth to get experience in different conditions? Do you think this is going to be a more widespread movement throughout USL?
I do. And what's interesting to me is that the European clubs are reaching out to us. And there's a gap in Europe where, and I saw it at Southampton, where the U23, who are really, anywhere from 16 to 23-year-olds, but a lot of 16 to 19-year-olds, they're playing in empty stadiums. They're not playing against men, and they're not playing to win. Okay, it's pure development. So some of these clubs in Europe look at the USL and the championship, and they say, "Wow, that's the spot where we can get a young man a real opportunity to play to win in front of fans, and the excitement that brings is something special." And guys, we have a player on loan from Southampton, Tyreek Johnson, and Tyreek actually had a couple starts in the Premier League, played against Arsenal in a game. So Tyreek is 21 years old, and Southampton made the decision that they wanted to get him some real playing time in this USL Championship, and they thought it was a really great level for him. They had other choices, and that's what they chose. So, that's what we're learning. That's what we're seeing. That's what other clubs in Europe, they see that, and they say, "Wow, is there something there? What's going on in America? Huge talent pool. Maybe we should get over there and figure it out." And they see USL as something that's very easy to work with. We're different in some ways. The MLS is amazing. It's the top of the pyramid. I love that league. But the USL is a little different and is very flexible in terms of what we can do for loans, what we can do for development, what we can do for training. We have a coach, we have a player now, we have a relationship. Like, that's pretty cool. And that's what the USL can deliver.
It's very interesting to see how these types of partnerships kind of correlate and how players and coaches kind of go back and forth between the teams. And you mentioned Roddy Jaidi, who was Southampton's under-23 coach, obviously before he came to Hartford. And so, he comes into Hartford, and that kind of makes me wonder, do the coaches here in Hartford, like Luis Silva and Eric Weingarten, do they also have those kind of opportunities to maybe learn from teams or to learn from Southampton's coaches over in Europe, or is it primarily just focused around players and their development?
Yeah, that's a great question. No, it's really inverted. it's really about the staff first. We really, from our perspective, the staff has to be continuing to develop, and that development comes internally here in the U.S. and Connecticut. There's a lot to learn here, but also through our European connections. And if you don't have, in our view, and it's pretty simple, if you don't have a great staff, then you can't identify a guy like Alfredo Vasquez, you can't train him up, and you can't really prepare him to go to the next level. So the investment in the staff is utilizing everything we can, which that includes our European connections. And, a club like Southampton is willing to look at our videos, give us training sessions, work on nutrition, fitness, across the board. They'll deliver what's called the Southampton way. And then we take that and we turn it into Hartford way, because there are differences, obviously, whether it's budgetary differences or just cultural differences. But for us, that's a way to kind of leapfrog and get the best kind of training and development for our staff. And that really comes first. That's for us as a club. That's our primary concern, is staff getting that right. That way we can deliver to the players. And the players are so excited. If you interviewed our players about working with Coach Jaidi, every single one of them, guys like Danny Barrera, who's played everywhere at pretty good levels, they've never had a coach like this before.
Yeah, who better to learn from than some of the world's best teams, over in England or wherever it may be, especially for a team as new as Hartford. And you said the players love working under Jaidi and practicing and having him as their coach. Last year maybe wasn't the best way to start Hartford's journey as a club in USL, but this season they've been pretty good within the regional group stages, top of their group as well with the Pittsburgh Riverhounds and New York Red Bulls 2, Philadelphia Union 2, pretty difficult teams to play. Since Jaidi's come in, have you noticed anything in particular that has been different from last year to this year that you think might be the key thing to how the squad's improved and how the performances have improved?
First of all, last year was so difficult. It was our first year. Jimmy Nielsen was our coach, and he's a very good coach, and he's going to coach again at a very high level. He had to play 8 games on the road to start. We were a new club. We really didn't have our philosophy down. We were learning in many different areas, whether it be commercial, football, player relations, the whole deal. So that was a tough go. This year, I can say that we really put in place our philosophy, and we grabbed a lot of it from Southampton and adapted it. And we brought a lot of discipline and professionalism. And Coach A, he's a very, very hardworking guy. I would say very collaborative in how he approaches his staff and the players. But they come to work and they work hard and they work smart, and it's high level. It's from the Premier League kind of vantage. So all the player development, all their videos, he's on the phone with them at night, sending them video clips. It's just a full-on professional approach. And the players are playing very hard for him. So I don't really look at the losses. I love to see a win. He plays a 3-5-2. Are they really buying into the 3-5-2? Are they competing? We lost to Indy 4-1, and I was happy. And I told the coach, excited. I went to the game. They played so hard, and it was a great game for 80 minutes. It was 2-1, but they played so hard. They competed so well, and that's, I think, what someone like a Coach Jaidi brings, is that discipline and professionalism then translates to the field where the guys are just competing 100%. And I don't know, the fans love that, and I think it brings out the best in the players, and I think they enjoy it too.
It's definitely a special sight to see a coach's philosophy and a team philosophy kind of come to fruition when a team plays, even if it is a loss, like you said. Just kind of seeing those players work their tails off for the team, for the badge, and just kind of get across what the coach has been trying to instill in them all preseason, to just really be refreshing for everybody, no matter the circumstance. Bruce, I'd just like to thank you for joining us on the podcast today, and giving me a little bit of your time to talk about this partnership and your ownership over Hartford Athletic.
Well, thank you guys. I really enjoy your podcast. It's important. You guys are very serious about it. You bring some great interviews, and I always look forward to listening. So thank you for all your hard work on it. And we'll keep going. It's our second year. We're winning right now, so that's exciting. But we're really putting things in place for the future, and there will be some more Alfonsos along the way, and we'll see where he goes. And maybe we'll talk when we make the playoffs this year. That would be fun.
Awesome. Yeah. I mean, we can't wait to see how the team grows, how this partnership develops over time, and just kind of see where USL as a whole goes. So should be an interesting next few years in the league.
Absolutely. Thank you guys, and have a great day.